All right, ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome to The Truth with Ben Jokes, your trusted channel for political analysis. Now, sometimes people listen to my analysis here and they just conclude that I am biased towards Obi. But believe me, I have carefully examined this man. The man is different. He understands the problems of Nigeria. Yesterday, Akpabio was bragging at the floor of the National Assembly about building flyovers when he was governor. And when they want to criticize Obi, they will say, how many schools did you build as governor? These people are all backward in thinking. They believe that development is all about erecting enormous structures. But Obi understands the assignment. He drew his scale of preference and began spending money in order of priority. He didn't build new schools only for them to be dilapidated later. He fixed the dilapidated ones that are already all over the state, then equipped them for proper functioning towards excellence, and it worked 100%. He did the same thing with hospitals, and it worked 100%. It's just like having 3 children who are not behaving well, and instead of correcting your children, you said, no, you are going to give birth to new children. Is that the way to go? No. Government properties belong to government. So if they are not in good state, you don't go about erecting new ones. You go and fix them. That is why they say government continues. And you can't be building flyovers when pensioners are being owed 5-6 years monthly pensions. That is not leadership. Today in Nigeria, we have food insecurity. We have little access to clean drinking water. Our housing deficit is one of the worst in the world. We have the worst primary health care in the world and consequently highest infant mortality rate in the world. Yet we are wasting money on building enormous structures, calling it development. What a shame. And few hours ago, reports emerged on Labour Party suspending Julius ABURE and the members of his faction. This is coming about 48 hours after ABURE himself suspended Alex Oti, Ireti Kingibe, and some other persons. So I like the way it is going now. INEC must now take a decision on who is the authentic Labour Party and who stands suspended so that we can know the way forward for the Labour Party. And just as Nigerians were yet reacting to that, those reports from the Nyesom Wike-led FCT began flooding in. These disgraceful reports confirmed the decay in the FCT, and everything about those reports just buttressed Peter Obi's assertions. A change is needed, and it is needed immediately. And after seeing these reports, Wike must cover his sick face in shame. Before I show you details of these top stories and how Nigerians reacted, let me quickly show you this video from Shehu Sani. This video is an example of why selling out to evil is never a good idea. Shehu Sani, who used to be very vocal against bad governance, is now struggling to speak against it in this video. Take a look.
Well, for us, we have talked too much about insecurity. What is needed for us is to step up our actions, because our actions as a government and as a nation has not been able to exterminate the activities of bandits and terrorists in our country. We have had so many talk shops, so many summits, so many conferences about security. And what is needed now is more action. And we have seen in the last 1.5 decades how terrorists in the northeastern part of Nigeria, up to this very time, are unleashing mayhem and havoc against innocent people and burning down villages, kidnapping people and extorting hundreds of ransom. And each time you thought that they have been exterminated, few days, you will see them coming out more boldly and daring. So we have had enough talk shop. What is needed now is that we should do something differently or improve on what we are doing. For now, does not mean that because we are fighting a war, we are fighting a battle with terrorists, so we should continue to pump in money without asking what it's been used for. Monies that should be used for defense and security should specifically be used for defense and security. We need drones, we need armored personnel carrier, we need to take the battle to the terrorists and win this war. A nation of 230 million people can't be held hostage by number of terrorists that are more than 3,000 to 4,000. So this is a battle we have to win, and we have to continue to fight it. But in order for us to win, so that our funds don't end up in private pockets of military generals, we have to make sure that every penny spent in that war goes to the soldiers and goes to the equipment.
You saw that. Recently Shehu Sani joined the APC, so his utterances are now extremely limited. He cannot say the truth the way he used to say it before. Even though he tried to lay the facts bare, he couldn't hit the nail on the head. For instance, when he was talking about the security budget not being used properly, not being used for the purpose for which it was budgeted, he said that so that the funds will not end up in the pockets of military generals. Meanwhile, he knows that military generals cannot pocket those monies without the consent of the man in Aso Rock. He was the one who appointed the generals. There is no form of mega corruption that can go on in this country without the consent of the man in Aso Rock. And just as Peter Obi said, he said if the president and his family members are not corrupt, then more than 60% of the corruption in Nigeria is gone. That is exactly what we are witnessing in this country right now. Well, Shehu Sani was out of politics for a very long time, so maybe he got very broke. Now he has sold his integrity and everything to the APC. So he has to mellow down on his criticism now. That is the direction this country is going now. And it shows clearly that it is the people versus the APC. The people need to take a stand. And this is what I keep saying. If the people refuse to take a stand against the APC, then they should be ready for the highest degree of disaster possible under the APC. Now, let us look at the top stories. First is that report from Peter Obi's Labour Party suspending Julius Abure after Abure himself suspended Alex Otti. So INEC must now take a final decision on Labour Party and who stands suspended. And next are those disgraceful reports coming out of the Nyesom Wike-led FCT. And after seeing these reports, Wike and Tinubu must cover their faces in shame. Let's start by taking that report on Julius Abure's suspension. Look at how the papers reported it. Labour Party NEC suspends Abure Farouk for 6 months. The Senator Nenadi Usman-led Labour Party National Caretaker Committee has announced the suspension of former national chairman and secretary of the party, Barrister Julius Abure, and Alhaji Farouk Umar for a period of 6 months. This was contained in a statement signed by Usman and the LP NCC Secretary, Senator Darlington Nwokocha, in Abuja late on Thursday. The party leadership said the decision was a sequel to the findings of the Senator Ireti Kingibe-led 6-member disciplinary committee inaugurated on Wednesday. Barrister Julius Abure has been suspended for an initial period of 6 months and is prohibited from presenting himself as the national chairman of the Labour Party. Mr. Umar Farouk, the former national secretary, was identified as a co-signer in most of the fraudulent bank withdrawals and transfers alongside Abure. Consequently, he has also been suspended for an initial 6-month period pending further investigation. This is the way to go. Suspend Abure for 6 months. I thought they were going to do this immediately the Supreme Court judgment dropped. This was what they should have done immediately. But it's okay. They are doing it now after Abure had conducted his own charade of suspending Alex Otti. So let it be decided by law. If the Supreme Court is going to talk about this issue again, or INEC is going to decide who stands suspended and who is actually Labour Party. I don't care what the decision is going to be. I am not fixated on Labour Party. The party does not even have a structure as it were. Peter Obi is the structure of the party. So that is the person we are rallying around. If they want to give the party to Abure, whose tenure has already expired, then let them do it quickly. That is what I'm after. Do it very quickly so that Peter Obi can pull out and then we'll take another direction. I've been saying it, if Obi starts a political party today, in less than 6 months, that party will have more card-carrying members than the APC and PDP put together. So I am not even worried about what the outcome is going to be, but I just want a situation whereby we will have clarity so that we can move forward. Point blank, period. Now, let us take those disgraceful updates from the FCT. When Peter Obi talks about the problems of Nigeria, the numerous atrocious problems in this country, they try to shut him down. They attack him from left, right, center. But look at what is happening in the FCT right under the nose of Tinubu and Nyesom Wike. Look at how the papers reported them. Abuja Community residents forced to drink filthy stream water as health disaster looms. In Tomba Community in Kwaku Ward of Kuje Area Council, FCT Abuja, residents have been left to drink, cook and bath with water from a filthy stream shared with cattle. This is as the Federal Capital Territory Minister Nyesom Wike and Senator Ireti Kingibe have been called upon to attend to the urgent situation. The stream, murky and visibly polluted, is the only available water source for the entire community. It runs beside farmlands and animal paths, yet it serves as the lifeline for Tomba's people, children, pregnant women, and the elderly. Sahara Reporters was told that the residents had reported widespread skin infections, persistent stomach cramps, and other water-related ailments. Still, no intervention has come from relevant government authorities, despite Tomba's proximity to Abuja city center. According to Monit NG, a civic technology platform tracking service delivery in underserved communities, the situation in Tomba is a clear example of systemic neglect and poor water infrastructure planning within the FCT. This is not a political issue. It is a human one. Clean water should not be a luxury. Let Tomba be heard. Let them be helped. While high-level announcements about multi-billion naira water projects continue, the residents of Tomba still scoop brown water into cooking pots, bath children in it, and pray that tomorrow brings no funeral. Now you are talking about a despicable situation right here in the FCT. This is the Federal Capital Territory. So you can imagine what is happening in other parts of the country. And you are talking about Tomba community. It is not an issue of only Tomba community. It is extremely difficult to get government-supplied potable drinking water anywhere in Nigeria as of today. People dig boreholes all over. In fact, to have a standard house now, to say, okay, I have a house of my own that is standard, you must dig borehole. And this situation was not like this before. How many houses in Nigeria today have potable drinking water supplied by the government? We are talking of just water. Water, W-A-T-E-R, H2O, you cannot give to your citizens. And somebody said that the labor of our heroes past are in vain, and you said the person is not saying the right thing. Now look at this other report here. Let's just take a little of this report. Abuja Health Center, 750 communities, faces collapse with one worker who treks 14 kilometers for water. Sahara Reporters. Look at the health center here. That is 750 communities. Just zoom this picture and look at the kind of equipment they have there. It's 750 communities. This is right here in the FCT. We are not talking about a state before they will say, go and meet the governor, or before they will say that those places are ungoverned areas. So there are ungoverned areas within the Federal Capital Territory. How big is the Federal Capital Territory, for God's sake? Meanwhile, this is the same place where Wike spent 21 billion naira to renovate a VP lodge, spent several billions to build houses for judges in Katampe, spent 35 billion naira to renovate ICC. Do you know what that 35 billion that was, extended to ICC alone can do in the lives of all these communities? But no, you will never find them providing good governance for the common man. Even if money is released for the purpose of developing those communities, the monies will still be embezzled. It's the same thing they are doing in the area of security. 19.7 trillion naira spent over a space of 4 to 5 years on the issue of insecurity in Nigeria. Yet, soldiers are complaining that they don't have enough bullets. 19.7 trillion spent. You don't have enough bullets. Okay, we are not even talking of fighter jets now. We are not talking of drones now. These boys are saying they don't have enough bullets. That when Boko Haram members are approaching them, They start shooting into the air from about 2 kilometers away, while they will be, hiding there, managing their bullets. Who does that? Who does that on the battlefield? And then after spending 2 years or 1 year when they are supposed to transfer them, they will leave them there. They cannot transfer them to bring in other soldiers because those ones don't want to fight again. They don't. The motivation, the morale to fight is gone. That is the country that we have found ourselves. And then somebody is saying that Peter Obi should not talk. Does this make any sense? But I am not surprised. This is the APC. They have come to steal, to kill, and to destroy. And like I always say, it can only get worse. Nothing is ever going to get better under the APC. If Nigerians are tired and they want to begin to have a country that they can be proud of, then they know what to do. But until then, make I still enter town. Make I go get some ogbonge political news. Wey una go like. Why? Because of una. Now I dey here. So don't go away. Don't go.